Long before there was Halloween, there was an ancient Celtic festival known as Samhain. It was celebrated on October 31st, which was the day before their New Year. November 1st marked the end of their summer and the harvest. It was the beginning of the dark and cold winter. The Celtics believed that on the night of October 31st, the boundaries between the world of the living and the dead will blend and blur together, which means ghosts could visit Earth. During this festival, there was many rituals. They built huge bonfires to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the gods. They also communicated with the dead. Food and drink was left as offerings for spirits to ensure good health and fortune. They also wore costumes made of animal heads and skins. Despite all this, it was likely that the celebration more about the changing seasons and not death. On May 13th, 1609 AD, Pope Boniface IV established the Catholic feast All Martyrs Day to honor all Christian martyrs. Gregory III expanded the celebration to include all saints as well as martyrs and moved it to November 1st. In 1000 AD, the Church made November 2nd All Souls Day. All Souls Day was celebrated with bonfires, parades, and dressing up in costumes. These costumes include saints, angels, and devils. The celebration had similar elements to the Celts' holiday in hopes to convert them and wipe out pagan beliefs, which is why it also fell around the same time. Another name for the holiday is All Hallow Mass, which is taken from a Middle English word, All Hallow Mees, which meant All Saints' Day. This was shortened to All Hallows. The night before that became known as All Hallows' Eve, and eventually became Halloween. Another pre-Halloween celebration was Guy Fawkes' Day. On November 5th, 1605, English trader Guy Fawkes was executed for his role in a Catholic-led conspiracy to blow up England's Parliament building in an attempt to remove Protestant King James I from power. Originally, it was celebrated with bonfires burning effigies. By the 19th century, children bearing effigies of Fawkes roamed the streets on this night asking for a penny for the guy. Guy Fawkes Day was later brought with the Pilgrims to the first settlements of Plymouth. Over time, Guy Fawkes Day got celebrated less and less and is now pretty much a dead holiday. The legend of Stingy Jack. According to an old legend, a man known as Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him. However, Jack did not want to pay for his drink, so he convinced the devil to turn it into a coin, in which he would use to buy the drinks. The devil, he agreed to it and became a coin, but Jack kept the money for himself. He put the coin in his pocket next to a silver cross, which prevented the devil from changing back to his normal form. Jack eventually freed the devil under the condition that he would leave Jack alone for a whole year, and if Jack were to die, the devil could not claim his soul. The next year, he tricked the devil again. He had the devil climb a tree to pick some fruit, but he trapped the devil up there by carving a cross into the bark. He wouldn't let the devil down unless he promised not to bother Jack for another 10 years. When Jack died, God would not let him into heaven because of his mean trickery and stinginess. Nor could Jack go to hell since his agreement with the devil. Instead, the devil sent Jack off into the dark with only a burning coal to light his way. Jack put the coal in a carved-out turnip and roams the earth forever, ever since that night. This legend is where jack-o'-lanterns come from. The people of Scotland and Ireland carved scary faces into turnips, beets, and potatoes. These objects were placed on windows and near doors to scare away Stingy Jack and other evil spirits who may be wandering about. With immigration, jack-o'-lanterns found their way to America. The pumpkin soon replaced the other vegetables, for it was more easier to carve and was plentiful. And next we have souling, mumming, and ghosting. In England, the poor children would go door to door asking for food in exchange for prayers for the dead. This is known as going a-souling, and was encouraged by the church as a way to replace the old traditions of leaving food out for spirits. They used to sing songs, dance, and even recite poems for treats like soul cakes, which was a traditional treat of souling. During mumming and ghosting, people would put on disguises and go door to door asking for food. And once the immigrants come to America, well, they brought Halloween with them. That was good, right? More fun for America? Well, not exactly. Although there were small celebrations here and there and jack-o'-lanterns and maybe some souling, but it wasn't as organized as it is today or widely celebrated. Sadly, the first traditions to widely be celebrated by kids and teens was tricks, and very dangerous ones at that. They called these nights Devil's Night and Mischief Night. Some of the pranks that were pulled in the 19th and early 20th century were tipping over outhouses, egging houses, ringing doorbells, opening and removing gates, hiding belongings, throwing rocks, letting animals loose, stealing mats, soaping, which is when you put soap on a surface that's really hard to get it off, like a window. In 1945 in Toronto, a group of high schoolers set a huge bonfire fueled with gas and stolen pieces of fence. The police came, the teens threw stones at them. Fire trucks attempted to come to put the fires out, but the teens barricaded the street. The police arrested 13 rioters and 7,000 young people, both boys and girls. It took tear gas and water cannons to disperse the crowd. In 1948, 3 boys in Long Island broke into a summer house and caused nearly $100,000 in today's dollars in damage. So, how can we fix these problems? Well, in the 20th century, Denzin published books called Boggy Books, which were guides on how to make a Halloween party safe and stop pranks. They also made masks and paper costumes, which were available for sale. In 1905, Allentown, Pennsylvania, probably had the first ever Halloween parade in the United States. Toms River, New Jersey, had a parade in 1919. And in 1920, Onoco, Minnesota, had its first ever parade, which was done in attempts to stop vandalism, but pranks were still pulled. In the 1930s, Sears sold its first costumes. They were characters found in the funnies and from radio shows. In 1938, the Boston Police Commissioner gave away engraved awards to 3 school districts that showed the least amount of vandalism, which is pretty crazy if you ask me. Thanking someone for not, destroying things as much as the other guys, I don't know. Other such ideas for fixing these problems were making bad boys into cops and throwing town parties, which included bobbing for apples, telling ghost stories, and fortune-telling games. In 1939, the phrase trick-or-treat showed up in print for the first time ever. It was shown up in an American Home magazine. In it, she talked about the success she had having an open house for the neighborhood kids. She gave them treats, and in return, they did not trick. In the 1940s, sweets that were commonly given out for trick-or-treating was cookies, slices of cake, pie, nuts, toys, and money. In the 1950s, candy companies tried to promote their products for Halloween treats, but it wasn't really exactly successful until the 70s and 80s, when it gained wide popularity as appropriate treats for trick-or-treaters. By the end of World War II, Halloween was popular, and so was parties and trick-or-treating, which all were common ways to slow down the violence of the youth. In the 1960s, Halloween was so popular that they made Halloween TV cartoons for children, like the Charlie Brown Halloween special. But, America wasn't the only one who had problems. In England, they had very small-time mischief, like stone throwing, as did Ireland. English children made punkies out of beetroots and carved designs into them. They then go onto the street and sing the Punky Night song as knocking on doors and asking for money. As time went on, trick-or-treating is starting to gain a following there. However, it's not working out too well. The older generations have little understanding as to why they are being asked for treats and are usually not too prepared. However, no matter how great the efforts, Halloween still had and has its issues. Between the 1970s and the 1980s in Detroit, you set fire to thousands of buildings. In just 1984, there was more than 800 fires lit in Detroit on Halloween. But Halloween is a lot safer than it used to be. Over 60% of Americans celebrate Halloween. And other than trick-or-treating, there is haunted houses, parties, parades, theme parks. Halloween is also very successful money-wise. Did you know that Americans spend billions on Halloween each year? Even pets join in on the fun. Over 7 million Americans buy costumes for the pets each year. And about 50% of Americans decorate their yard for Halloween. Except there is a few small groups of people who feel that this is not a good solution and that it might be best if Halloween was got rid of entirely. Certain religious groups have questionable feelings about Halloween. Some Christians are perfectly okay with Halloween, while others feel that it is evil, sinful, and a satanic holiday. Some churches ban Halloween entirely and have alternative celebrations instead. Such celebrations might be a Hallelujah house, which is kind of like a haunted house, but it shows what happens to people when they sin, and some take it even farther than that by making anti-Halloween videos that try to get the watcher to stop them from ever celebrating Halloween again. The videos normally include shaming and making fun of religions different from themselves. However, like I said, some churches don't mind Halloween at all, and some even have celebrations for the neighborhood kids. Some churches may have cookouts, pumpkin carving, parties, or trunk-or-treats, which is when children can, in theory, safely go from trunk to trunk in a parking lot to get candy. Despite the disagreements, Halloween is a pretty great holiday, and hopefully it will only get better and safer as time goes on.